So, I don't think that a lot of people would have thought of combining the Little Big Planet world with a karting game. Mostly because karting games have sort of, if you're not Mario, of course, sort of gone away, I think. So where did the idea come from?
Well, we were in talks earlier on with Media Molecule, and United Front Games, we're a karting developer. We've prior titles, Mod Nation Races. And so when we were talking about what to do next, it's funny that you should mention that these two worlds seem that they wouldn't mash up, because they do. Like Craft World, this crazy, eccentric, wonderful world, you want to explore it. And Sackboy is such a cute character. You put him in a cart and he gets to run all over the world, and it just seems to work. That's one thing that when people first played the game, they were like, this is fun and it works. So this is a mashup that went really, really well together after all.
Okay, and of course, when using anything from Little Big Planet, probably the first thing that people think of is the creation of everything, and the demonstration you just gave us was pretty much insane. But for those of the viewers who haven't seen it yet, can you just give us a scope of what you're able to do in the game?
The scope is that there is no scope. We are a core karting game. Lots of classic adventures that you can make using races and battles and that kind of traditional gameplay that karting fans know and love. But we've sort of removed the boundaries on that. So our level editor is really, really powerful, and it allows you to create in a 3D space now and create using all sorts of tools, gadgets, logic, things that are familiar for Little Big Planet users, and also new stuff. And some of the way that you can script game enders and the game logic means that you're not just making karting games anymore. We had some examples of mini games that people can make. There was also someone in our public beta made a first-person shooter in a karting game. It's kind of, you're no longer just controlling one aspect of a game, you're kind of lifting the roof, and it's one of those things that our public beta showed us some things that even we didn't realize we could do in our game. So we looked at each other and went, wow, you can do that? Oh my God. And that inspired us to make more,
But I guess that must be really fascinating for you guys when creating a game like this and pretty much just leaving everything up to the user. But where does the limits go? For a developer like you, where do you say, okay, this you're not supposed to, as a user, to modify?
There really isn't anything that we want to limit the players on, because people, when they're creating, are creating for themselves. They're creating what they like and what they enjoy. Because we have a big subset of people who are karting fans, they're going to generally make karting games. So there's going to be lots of races and battles out there for people to play. People who are into something a little different or a little bit eclectic or something else, they're kind of making those games for themselves and other like-minded people. So it kind of moderates itself. There really isn't any limit. I'm trying to think here. I'm trying to think of things that you couldn't do. The only limits that we have on it would be you have a sort of a certain amount, how big your level can be. You have a budget in the create mode that tells you, you're getting too much, you might need to take out some unique assets. But that's it. In terms of what you make, the objects that you can actually create yourself, the pictures that you can take in the real world and put them into the game, that's all completely limitless.
Okay. I think one of the most exciting things about previous Little Big Planet games, of which this of course is part of the series, has been just, as you mentioned, seeing what people do with the things. What has been, you mentioned you had done a beta so far, what has been the most impressive stuff that you guys have seen?
Impressive in terms of ideas, I think, was like the first-person shooter that I showed you. I mean, this is actually someone walking around with a gun. There's no cart involved. It doesn't look anything like karting. A lot of the mini-games that are kind of revolved around arcade-style games, like pinball or retro sort of things like that, recreating things from other places, like the game Journey. Someone recreated a Journey level, that kind of thing. It's really, really cool, actually. It's just so much fun to see what they're doing.
Yeah, and also we saw, and that was kind of funny, we saw a platform like level like in the original Little Big Planet series, but is it possible to make a platform level exactly like it would work in the Little Big Planet platform games?
Yeah, absolutely, because we've taken the level editor from Little Big Planet 2, and we pretty much have almost everything from that in Little Big Planet Karting, and we've only expanded on it. So you can absolutely make the same levels in Little Big Planet Karting. There was an example I showed recently, which was a side-scroller, and it's very simple to make a side-scroller in our game. You just need to lock the camera to the side, use our Controlinator gadget to remove the ability to steer, and you have an instant side-scroller. So yeah, it's absolutely possible to do that. And then if you wanted to take it to the next level, a new dimension, if you will, you can make it a 3D level.
But are you worried that you might confuse the audience by, it's great for creative people to have all these possibilities, but also you're kind of like expanding everything that is possible within the game, and maybe even confusing people about if this is, an old school sort of karting game, or if this is more like create your own level, create your own game kind of experiment.
Yeah, absolutely. We have, in our story mode, we do focus on traditional karting. So there are a lot of race tracks and a lot of battle tracks. That's kind of our bread and butter. We mix that up with some different types of levels, but that's what we keep coming back to, because that's what traditional karting fans love and enjoy so much. And that's what people are most likely going to create too, using our editor too, is more of those types of tracks. One thing that we really wanted to keep focused on is that people playing karting games really love to just keep playing. They want endless sort of, you don't want a race to end and then suddenly be like, what do we do now? You want to play another race. So we added in a couple of features into our level to allow that. So when you're playing online with other people, at the end of our level, we have a level voting screen. There's a bunch of new levels that you can possibly go to. You can all have a say on which one you go to as a group, and you go there. So that the kind of cycle of races and battles and things doesn't have to end. You can just keep playing. So for people who just want to pick up and kart, it's all there for them, and it's very, very easy to do so.